This is from Jay Barshop, and he says, Chris and his guests provide some incredibly actionable, compelling content spotlighting the best tactics and insights on how to become the very best version of yourself and live a more productive, well-rounded life. Highly recommend listening and subscribing to Becoming Your Greatest Possible Self if you want the knowledge and mindsets to grow into the person you know you're capable of becoming and reach your overall goals as a result. So Jay, thank you so much for submitting that and giving us that encouragement and empowerment about our show, because we love serving people and making a difference, helping you become your greatest possible self. So Dr. Anastasia Chopelas is coming on right now. Let's pull up this awesome intro for her so we can rock the house. There she is. There she is. What's up, superstar?
Hi.
How are you? Awesome. I got your intro to read, and then you'll be live. I'll bring you on, okay? Cool. Dr. Anastasia Chopelas, her unusual combination of scientific curiosity and heritage as a fourth-generation healer makes her uniquely qualified to understand the subtle energies that promote or deteriorate health, success, and relationships. She retired from a 40-year career as a physicist and researcher studying quantum and vibrational physics. I'm so excited about this. To become the scientific healer, her processes are responsible for thousands of successes in business, finances, and health. She has entertained audiences on stages in 12 different countries, including 24 universities, and appeared on many radio shows, including Voice America, KKNW, and RadioMD, and has hosted her own show for 5 years. Anastasia, you ready to rock this?
Yes, I am.
Yes, she is. Awesome. Well, you are now live on Becoming Your Greatest Possible Self. Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to come on and share with our audience today about all that you're doing. You and I had an amazing pre-interview call, and everything that you discuss is it's like my fantasy. I could talk about it all day long because it's juicy. It's reality. It's the science behind reality. It's the mechanisms and things that cause us to do the things that we do and how nature works. So I love it. So thank you so much for coming on today.
Oh, you're most welcome. It's my pleasure.
Awesome. Awesome. So we're going to dive right into the question of the day, which is the art of being. So, Dr. Anastasia, how do you approach this subject of being as an art form? How does that work for you?
Well, one of the things that I know for sure from years of having my own challenges and years of being able to accomplish a lot, like raising 2 children on my own, while I'm running a successful career, while I'm taking care of a big household and, fitting in all my exercise and good eating and all of that all together,
yes.
Which is overwhelming, right? So the only way that I could manage that in terms of the way I'm being is being in the moment. Right? I have my calendar and I would plan my day ahead of time, but then I'm only in the moment every time.
Wow.
So that is my way of being. And what that is really in the clearest way is to be centered. You're not being pulled in different directions thinking about, oh, I've got all that to do tomorrow. And, oh, did I leave the stove on at home? And did I lock the front door? And, I need to take my car in. When you have it all scheduled and you're in the moment, then you can enjoy life because all of those thoughts that are occupying your conscious mind are taking away from enjoying the moment.
What would we think, experience, or sense if we are centered and in the moment? Like, what is that like?
Well, for me, it's being in a peaceful state. Right. It's just being peaceful and calm, right? As soon as all those other thoughts start impinging, and I'm having some challenges now at home, right? As soon as that stuff starts impinging on that moment, it takes away from you, and your adrenal glands start firing. As soon as your adrenal glands are firing, your body is in teardown mode rather than buildup mode. That's where the stresses take over, and where illness ensues, and nervousness, anxieties, all of that. So it takes away from your enjoying your life.
Wow. This is incredible. I'm so excited for this interview. I can't say it enough. Okay. So for anybody who doesn't know who you are, why don't you share a little bit more about the work that you're doing today and just catch us up on who you are?
Well, I am a retired physicist. I spent 40 years studying vibrations of matter, quantum physics. I have many publications and book chapters out in scholarly journals that appear all over the world. I've spoken on this topic in at least 12 different countries and in universities and conferences and so on. And I also am a fourth generation, as far as we know, it's probably longer, fourth generation healer, people with clair skills. Everybody was allowed to have them, so we didn't shut them down when we were little. Wow. And so I've always known that I could hear people's thoughts and that I'm highly sensitive. If somebody is hurting somewhere, I can feel it on my body. And those are like my primary modes of gathering information from outside. But I'm also clairvoyant and clairaudient, meaning I see things that I shouldn't be able to see, like subtle energies, or I'll get images in my mind, and I'll also hear things. So everybody has these skills, but it's like I describe it, if you have a muddy glass of water, right? It's very muddy. If you throw a little more mud in, you can't see it. But if you have a clear glass of water and a piece of information comes in, then you can see it, right? Because it's clear. So the clearer we get, the cleaner we get in terms of physical detoxing, mental detoxing, emotional detoxing, and spiritual detoxing. As soon as we clean up ourselves, then those messages come through. And this is my experience with working. So what I do is I heal people. I have the ability to move other people's energy. You all have that ability too. You just have to learn how.
Develop it,
yeah. So it's really a lot simpler than you might think. And I heal people. So I've spent the last 5 years full time doing this. And there are days where I've been on the phone from 11 in the morning till 7 at night, working with people all day long. And I've done this now for the last 5 years. And basically people that are incurable come to me. The doctors have given up. They've suffered with a situation for 40 years, up to 40 years, that nobody has been able to help. One lady came to me. She says, I've done everything except sit under a pyramid. and she walked away with her incurable situation drastically changed. Wow. And when things like that happen, it gives me goosebumps all up and down, because these people's lives are completely changed, completely. One gentleman that I'm still working with, he's on a maintenance plan. His family had incurable kidney disease, and people were dying in their 60s from this kidney disease. And even though, they could have dialysis or be on a transplant list, it was still so serious that it took his mom when she was 67. Well, he's 71 now. He married late in life, and he has teenage children. And he now has fully healthy kidneys. They are considered at over 50% functionality, considered healthy. So he has now the ability to live his life out, where before he was down at about 20% functionality, and about to go on the transplant list, needing dialysis and everything. And when he came to me, he just said, I've tried everything. I'm at the best specialists in the world where I'm living, and I do all this on the phone.
Wow, that's
or via Zoom or Skype or however, right? And then now I opened up a certification program for people to learn how to do this. Not only learn this, but learn how to set up a healing business if they want to, or coaching business. So because I've spent all that time in the physics department, I also am adept at computer programming, setting up websites. I've done this for years, and basically decades. I'm able to understand the cyberspace really well. So I'm very well versed in it, and I'm not worried. It never occurred to me that it was a problem when I saw other business owners and healers going, "Oh, I don't know how to put up a website." So I'm teaching them that. What do you need? What's the minimum? And how you can set up a very lucrative business without having what everybody is yelling at you to have. So,
wow.
And also teaching them. And some of my students were just ending our third month. And some of the students are now starting to go out and heal other people. And they're so shocked at how easy it is and how well it works.
Wow, that's incredible. Awesome.
Yeah.
So you're helping all these people, and you have this range of mastery that's absolutely incredible. What was it like? What was the journey like? I'm sure you weren't always this masterful. And tell us a little bit about the challenges or some of the big challenges that you had to overcome and the wisdom that you got from those moments.
Well, I think my biggest challenge was really when I was about 40, was really when I got really sick. Not because I didn't take care of myself. I was getting up every morning and running 6 miles before breakfast, taking good care of myself. I was leaner than I am now, and I had what I thought was my dream career. I was happy with my 2 children, and I lived in a beautiful home overlooking all these vineyards and orchards in Germany. So you can picture it. We were up high, and we had these rolling hills and a killer view. And I thought, my life couldn't be better. I was living in a small village of 6,000 people. We knew everybody. My kids were growing up with, the same kids, and they were safe and they had healthy values. So I got really, really sick. I was so sick that I only had 2 good hours a day some weeks, where I'd get up and I would finally my brain would start to wake up at noon. And then by 3, my head was on the desk and I was falling asleep. So I knew I had to fix that. And that's that issue of not being able to wake up in the morning. It's exhausted adrenal glands, right? That's a symptom. Another symptom is if you stand up too fast and you feel lightheaded. Right. Wow. So a lot of people think it's a blood pressure problem, but it's an adrenal gland problem. And 60 to 70% of the people in the United States are suffering with either totally exhausted or almost exhausted adrenal glands. This is an epidemic problem. And that's why, being in the moment and, what we talked about earlier, why that is so vitally important for everybody to learn how to do that for themselves, being in the moment. It's like a mindfulness practice. And some of it, you can meditate, you can do a walking meditation, you can do deep breathing, you can do all kinds of I just released a YouTube video on this just this week, talking about how to come into being centered and calm.
What is the I was going to ask something about the adrenal. So what is meditating and mindfulness do to replenish the adrenal function?
Well, as soon as the adrenals stop firing, as soon as they stop firing, your body goes into healing mode. So, our body works in this binary system. It's just like a computer. It's ones and zeros, right? So if something is on, if your adrenals are firing, your body is using its resources. And so some people, they are so wound up, they can't even sleep right, and they toss and turn. So their adrenal glands never go to sleep, and then their body never refreshes and replenishes. Wow. Right. So the technical term is being in the parasympathetic state or the sympathetic. Sympathetic is when you're reacting, the saber-toothed tiger is about to jump on your head and your adrenaline is like shot through the roof. Well, we're in that state a lot. We have phones ringing, computers ringing, emails coming in, and you're driving and you're worried about all the traffic, all that. Our adrenals are on high alert. And learning how to be in a calm state is really difficult for a lot of people. So that's why breathing practices and, a meditation, you can do a meditation in 2 minutes.
Totally.
Right?
Just like reset yourself. How much of a difference would something like that make if you did it once or twice a day, like that 2-minute meditation to just get calm and centered?
Well, it'll make all the difference in the world. I've had people, I have a little, it's a free gift on my website called Wake Up Your Brain. It's an 11-minute audio, and it takes you deep into trance and back out in that 11 minutes. And I've had people who were suicidal or waiting to get divorced and totally disrupt their life. And they started listening to this once a day, and their whole lives turned around. One of them fired her psychiatrist after that because she felt so centered and calm. Wow. And another one was suicidal, and she went from being completely a mess with a very, rocky marriage to everything working out, where she's like totally happy and like really loving being here. And I've had a couple of suicidal people come out of it. And that's what this accelerated success. One of them happens to be a multi-million-dollar coach, wow. Right? And he had already decided how he was going to kill himself. He told me, I started working with him in November, and he said that earlier in the year, he had decided that December was the end. And after working with him just a little bit, his whole perspective on things turned completely around, and now he's doing better than ever. Yes. Right? Good. So it's just amazing how much a little bit every day helps. It's just like climbing a mountain. You take one step at a time. You don't take one giant leap up the mountain, right? So you take one step at a time. Yeah.
Yeah, so in this perspective that everyone wants the microwave mentality, everyone wants it, done for you, instant gratification, and we talked about this quantum success today, right? And the accelerated success, being able to quantumly achieve our goals. So why don't we start diving into what does it take to do that, and what are some preconceived notions that people might be dealing with that are not true that we need to dispel in this conversation?
Okay, so the first is that everybody thinks there needs to be a logical pathway and that they have to know exactly how to do it. But that's not how reality works, right? So in reality, what we have is, just looking at the way electrons work around an atom, you can find them in one place, and then you inject a little energy, and they wink out of existence and instantaneously wink into existence somewhere else. There's no defined path. Right. So you put a little energy in, and boom, you're somewhere else. And when...
Yes, it makes so much sense.
And you don't know how you got there. Right. There's not like, I was saying do one step at a time, but that's daily, right? But when I work with somebody, for example, I'm shifting their whole energy body. I am changing everything, the way the energy flows in and out of their body. So we have these energy fields we're surrounded by that's not just created by the flow of nerve impulses and the flow of blood and matter through your body, but it's also created by your original blueprint. And we know this information from almost 100 years ago, where a doctor was measuring the energy fields around embryos, and he found the energy field in an embryo. So this is a dot, right? A tiny dot. And the energy field was the size of the adult creature. So that means we're imprinted, or when our fertilized egg starts growing in us, we're imprinted with a full-size human being. Wow. So when I was pregnant with my 2 children, it felt like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Like my life wasn't my own. That meant I had another energy field the same size as mine implanted in my body, right? Wow. So when anybody that's had children will tell you that it feels like your body's not your own. And as soon as you give birth, you go, oh, I'm me again. Wow. And you don't quite get it. But for those of us that are sensitive, we know that there's somebody else in there. And not only that, when my daughter was pregnant with my grandson, he was communicating with us when he was still an embryo. He was telling us things and sending messages, like sending emotional messages, like love messages. And we could feel it. It was like radiating out of her abdomen. So it was really, really interesting. But so we're imprinted with this information. And so that's also what's around us. And we are designed to be social creatures. We're designed to interact with one another like we're talking. We can see each other, we can hear each other, and we connect energetically with each other. And it's good and it's bad. You know, it's a gift and a curse.
Totally.
Right? So when we interact and somebody's upset with us, we feel it. Right. And we can even take on that energy and get angry at the same time when we have no reason to be angry. But we can take on the energy, the energy of low energy emotions like anger, grief, disappointment, shame, guilt, jealousy, any of these emotions that are really strong emotions that will pull you down in mood, these kinds of things, we are able to receive them through our energy channels. And what happens is, especially if you're in a long time abusive situation, is we start to close down. And that's another reason why we get sick, because we're not taking in the energy from the environment the way we're supposed to. So what I do is I clean all of that up, get it flowing again. And when you're now in a calm state, you get the full dose of the outside energy helping you. Just like you need light in your eye, like going outside and getting light in your eye, it improves your digestion. And we know that from studying. Yes. We need natural light and light will also absorb into your skin. And when you take a person and put them in a really dark room, the cells will radiate out different wavelengths depending on the wellness of your body.
Wow.
Yeah, that's called the biophotonic field. And we also have a bioelectric field where we can measure the frequency of the impulses coming off the body, depending on how well you are or how happy you are.
Wow. This is beautiful. I love this. So in order to be successful, we need to do more of the right things on a daily basis. So tell us a little bit more about some science that we might need to know or to remember to have more successful days to be able to achieve our big goals and dreams.
Well, I know that virtually every successful person, I don't know all of them, but everyone that I do know that is very successful has a morning energy ritual of some sort or another. Like I do this, I get up and I have a series of things that I do. Like this morning I got up, I cut cords. So cutting cords is, unhooking the stuff that, because I'm the matriarch of a large family, I also have a lot of healing clients. I have a lot of students. So I unplug all of the stuff that's been plugged into me at night. So I take care of that. And the next thing that I did this morning after I stood up straight and did some deep breathing is I went into the living room and I did some yoga moves. And these yoga moves are designed to stimulate the 12 meridians to help the energy flow up and down. And I also got up and had two big glasses of water because our brain needs the water to flow. And I then waited a little bit. And I had my celery juice. So I drink green juice every morning. So celery juice is very healing. It's anti-inflammatory and antiviral. It helps the body recover. And I flavor it with some fresh ginger. Then I taught my class. I had a class this morning early. Normally I don't do that. And then we went out for an hour brisk walk. So that's my typical morning ritual. And I've been doing this since I was 14, pretty much. Right. And so you can see me now. If I were to ask people, do I look 65? And usually the answer is no.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
I know, and I have zero pain in my body, zero pain, and I can stretch, I can bend down, touch my toes, put my palms on the floor and bend my elbows that far with my legs straight. I'm highly, highly flexible because I do these things every day to keep my body completely clear of. And I'm also drinking a green drink with spinach and zucchini and a bunch of other stuff in it.
Yeah, I heard that the flexibility is a sign of youth. The more flexible you are, the more nimble you are, the more youth you have, and the more rigid you are, the more typically you feel older, you feel stiff, you feel like the quality of life goes down.
Quality of life goes way down. And also when you're stiff, when things start to stiffen up, it usually means that your ligaments and everything start getting stiffer. Like I didn't need, these are just readers. I didn't need readers until I was well into my 50s. And a lot of people need glasses way ahead of that. That is speaking to the flexibility of the lens, right? So your eye, the cornea focuses at a distance, and then the lens inside helps you accommodate close-up stuff.
Yeah.
Right. So I used to teach this in my physics classes that I was teaching.
That's awesome.
I taught light and color and time and change, which was all about relativity and how we tell time. And then I taught things about, the laboratory, how to use it, make telescopes, microscopes, lenses, and then all the way up to studying vibrations, teaching people about the vibrations of what's going on inside. So I studied, in the 40 years I worked, I studied vibrations of minerals.
Wow.
And that's what my papers were on. So I understand the interchange between the vibration, which is an energy, and the bulk properties, what comes out. So the connection between what's happening inside you and how you are out in the world, right?
Wow. So what was one of the biggest shifts or awakenings that you saw in your students when you taught them a lesson about vibration? What was one of the most profound things that you saw them always respond to that made a difference for them in their life, or that they got excited about, or that they took with them and carried on with them?
That they became completely empowered. Right. The big shift was, oh my gosh, I can do this. I am fully capable of doing this. I am now in command of my own life and my own fate. Wow. That to me is huge. So, by way of history, aside from me getting really sick and needing to recover, my mom also got very sick. And she ended up with a spinal tumor. And when she was 37, she had surgery on her back, and it started to compromise her. Like, she didn't have all the feeling in her hands, like these two fingers on her hands, the pinky and the ring finger were, there was no feeling in them whatsoever. And they just hung there as useless appendages. Wow. And as time went on, she became more and more compromised. And the doctor said, if you know anything about spinal injuries, the doctor said she might live 5 years. Well, she survived 45 years. And I used to kid with her before she died that she was 40 years past her expiration date. So this is what will does. She willed herself to be there. She had such a strong will and such a determination to survive. And the only reason why she didn't, she died at 82. And the only reason, I did not. I thought I turned this off. So the only reason why she didn't want to survive any longer, so she chose to go, is that she was so compromised she couldn't stand up straight anymore. She needed a wheelchair and a walker. And she said, I don't have any quality of life. I just want to be gone. I don't want to be here anymore. And it was hard. It was hard to watch her go through that. But this is also another thing. Not everybody wants to be healed. Right. Some people are willing to give up their physical selves. And so, a lot of people come to me and their parents are really old and, they say, can I help them? Well, I can help them, but not all of them want to be helped. Some of them don't like being old. Wow. If you talk to a lot of people, it's like 80 is the cutoff point. They don't want to survive past 80 because they don't think they'll be having a good time. But what if you were like this, right? Right. And you could go out and jog if you wanted to. I could go and lift weights. Like a year ago, I was bench pressing 95 pounds.
Awesome.
Right. So if you wanted to do things like that, you can. There's no limitation to it. And my dad, who's 86, he'll be 87 in another month. He gets up every morning and he looks in the mirror and he goes, "So far, so good." And he asked me the other day, "How long do you think I'll live?" And I said, "Well, you've got at least another 30 years. And he goes, "Is that all?"
I love it.
So he's not going to go willingly.
Yeah, that's
and
awesome.
He's still all completely there, right? His mental faculties, he remembers, he knows where he's no different than he was 10, 15 years ago in terms of his mental capabilities.
So you mentioned will, and in a world where everyone is probably willing or forcing themselves to be high performers, high achievers, and just drive, how do we cultivate the power of will and determination to create our reality and achieve our goals while not burning ourselves out?
Okay, so first of all, making sure that you're doing the things to do to bring you back to center, so that you're enjoying every moment. Because when you're burning yourself out, you're not enjoying it anymore. Right. You're driving for an endpoint where the real journey is the path. Right? It's really the path. Are you enjoying every moment? And if you're not enjoying it, you need to change something so you can enjoy it. Wow. Right. So that's the main thing. And for high performers, like I consider myself a high performer. I've had 50 publications of book chapters, and these are top notch. These are still state of the art research papers. Nobody has come along and said, "Oh, that was wrong. Right. And that didn't work. And we improved on your measurements." No, these are state of the art still. Wow. That's awesome. And some of them are brand new thought lines where people said, "I didn't know you could do that." Right. It's brand new thought lines. So, and that was really enjoyable. And when it stopped being enjoyable, that's when I started to go into business for myself. Right. And so that's number one. Number two, take care of your physical self. Right. Really, really important. No matter how busy I ever got, I always took that time for that 1 hour of exercise every day since I was 14. So this is over 50 years of doing daily exercise, right? And I've always held that as really important. Number three, don't eat toxic stuff. Don't smoke. Drink as little as possible. I don't drink any alcohol at all because it's toxic to the brain. If I drink it, I can't do my thing. It blocks your nerve impulses in your brain, which you need. And it also slows your thinking process down, right? Drink lots of water, take care of your physical self. And then make sure your relationships. So number one factor in everything, and your success, in your health, in your life, in your wealth, is your relationships. So if you are stuck on your relationships, like you have a difficult relationship, a challenging one at the moment, figure it out. Either fix it or go your separate ways. And the only time you're ready to go your separate ways is when you can tell the person, "Thank you for being in my life. You've taught me so many things. It's time to move on." Give them a hug and wish them well, right? And so all relationships should end that way. They don't always. If you can't let them go in gratitude, you can let them go in neutrality, but never in anger. Because if you're angry or upset at somebody, you're still hooked into that relationship, right? You still are exchanging energy with that person, and it's pulling you down.
So that's like... is there any way to, like you mentioned cutting cords earlier, is there any way to cut the cords with that, or is that like
right? I have a really simple 5 to 10 minute process for healing relationships. And what that does is it's like wiping the slate clean between the two of you. It's just cleaning the energy up between them. And I'll tell you a cute little story from one of my current students who had the boss from hell who was using her as the whipping dog for the whole department and was treating her really poorly. And I taught her how to clean the relationship on energy up between her and whoever else. And I told her that week that she had to do 3 of them. Right. So she went out and did 3 of them, and one of them was the boss. And she came back and her eyes were like saucers. And she goes, "Oh my God, it's so eerie. He's nice to me now. I don't even know what to do with it." She's going, "He's nice. He's treating me kindly. He says, 'Hi, how are you?'" And she's looking around. She's going, "Is he talking to me?"
Oh my gosh.
And I've had hundreds of people report the same thing to me.
Yeah.
And I've also had people who have been divorced for a number of years, and they come to me and they say, "Anastasia, I don't know what's going on. I can't get any clients. I've had this coaching business for 30 years. I can't get any clients. I'm really, really stuck." And so then I say, "Oh, it's, I have a process for determining what it is." And I said, "Oh, it's a relationship." And then I said, "Name 3 people that you think it probably is." And it was the third, which was this ex-husband that she thought it was all settled with, that they had parted amicably. And I said, "Okay, let's see what happens." So I did this, 10, 15-minute relationship clearing on her. And the next 4 hours, she booked 6 clients.
Wow.
So they can get stuck in your money space, right? Their energy can be stuck there, blocking it.
Wow. So you have this process. Is there anything that we can do on our own, or is it just come talk to Dr. Anastasia?
Well, actually, I have it on a radio show, and there's also, if you go to my website /clear-now, that you can download or listen to it, and you just listen to one relationship at a time as you go through the clearing process. Then it's about 15, 20 minutes altogether. One of them is calling your energy back from everywhere you left it. And the next one is cleaning up that relationship space with that one person.
Wow.
And I've done this. I've recorded it a number of times. The energy of the process gets put into the sound waves of the recording, the carrier waves into the recording. The healing gets recorded, because I've listened back to my healing, recordings from my classes where I'm doing healing. So when people are in my class, they actually get the healing while I'm talking to them. And when I listen back and I'm going, "Oh, my energy's moving. Oh, what was I doing? Oh my God, that's what I was doing." So that was 5 years ago. And I'm going, this is really an awesome process that you can record the energy of the healing. And then later I discovered it's a quantum process.
Wow.
So it's as if you were there when I did it.
Right. So it's like we're receiving the benefits of our future healing right now.
It heals your past is what it does.
Wow.
And so when we were talking about making quantum jumps, so what an energy healing, so if you imagine your life is like a tree right here, and every decision you make creates a new branch, right? So you have all these whole sets of possibilities now. And so you're on one decision path, and you're over here, and you're sort of hanging out in left field, and you're going, "I don't think I like where I am right now." So what energy healing does is it's as if you jump to a new branch without having made those decisions. You heal all your past, and you can even heal all your ancestors and your DNA in this process.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, because a lot of people say, "There's nothing I can do. I inherited it." And I said, "Well, let's rewrite your DNA, because your DNA is actually perfect. It's just that it's just like ones and zeros again. You activate a particular DNA. It's called epigenetics. It's now a well-known science. And for example, we were talking about the relationships, and at UCLA, there's 2 researchers right now that are studying the effect of relationships on your genes. And what happens in good relationships, your genes reset, so your immune system becomes stronger and you live longer.
Wow.
Right. Isn't that awesome?
That's incredible. Oh my gosh. So I did want to mention Robert Plank was in the audience. He said Dr. Anastasia Chopelas is one of my heroes. We were just talking about her in one of our members-only calls. So thanks for sharing that, Robert. And Lily said, I'm having problems with jealousy. What would you recommend about that?
Well, jealousy is really an insecurity, right? It's a lack of, it's a feeling of not having your self-worth there. And some of one of the solutions that I have for that is actually going back to where that lack of self-worth started and rewriting the timeline, right? So usually when we're little, we're told, you say, Mommy, Daddy, I want this. You see something and they say, oh, no, we can't afford it. And your little mind as a 1 or 2 year old interprets it as, oh, I'm not worth having it. So that's like a way that self-worth gets. And I usually can see it when I work with individuals. I can see where it is. And then we just go back and we rewrite the history. Okay. So it's no longer part of you. And it's called timeline therapy for people that are familiar with NLP. So you just go back to a place in your timeline where you didn't have it and you move forward. And then what'll happen is that where it starts, you keep getting new events that keeps reinforcing that idea that you're not worth it, right? Because jealousy, like I am a completely unjealous person. Like whichever partner I was with, they could go and talk to whatever female they wanted. And I never was worried about it because I always figured if they wanted to be with them more than me, okay, big deal, go away. I'm good.
Right. So you have that self-worth, self-image, self-love.
It's not that. I just have a good sense of self and I've always had that, even though I was never sure how other people would accept me. But my feeling is if you don't want to be with me, then go away.
Right. I love it. One of the questions that I wanted to ask, and Lily, let us know if you had any other questions about that. One of the questions I wanted to ask is, I have contemplated or I have listened to affirmations at night, like while I'm sleeping. And I'm curious, since you know more about the brain than I do, is that wise, or does the brain need time to just, it needs silence, it needs nothingness so that it doesn't, gets that time to recharge? Or does the affirmations going into my subconscious, would that be more effective?
Well, the affirmations, first of all, have to be believable at the subconscious level for you. And if they're not believable, then it's just noise. Right? So it has to be like if somebody who's making $3,000 a month says, I want to make, they have an affirmation says $100,000 flows into my bank account every month. That's not believable for them, because how do they get from 3,000 to 100,000? But if instead they said 5,000 flowed into my bank account every month, then it would be believable for them, right? So I see Paula's hopping on.
Oh, she?
Yeah, I see. Paula's a friend of mine. We talk every Monday.
I love it, Paula. We'll be with you. Okay, she jumped off. See, this is why I need to make sure everyone's Zoom link is different. I tried. It's funny. Anyways, we'll keep going.
Anyway, so it has to be believable for you, and a lot of times it's not. So you can do like 3 right turns to kind of confuse your mind to allow it to believe something. So you can say something like, it's now okay that $100,000 flows into my account, or I'm willing for it to be okay that 100,000 flows into my account. And then you can probably shift, but it has to be believable. Otherwise your body rejects it. It just simply rejects it outright. And there are different ways to handle affirmations. Like for me, if I wanted to clear, like one of my problems was stubbornness. So what stubbornness is not knowing when to quit. Right? Yes. What you want is to be to be assertive. So you have the ability to go forward into something that you know is probably a good idea.
Right.
But then you hit a wall, and, you know, after 2 or 3 times you hit this wall and you're starting to really see the big picture, and you're going, oh, that's not such a good idea. So stubbornness is you just keep, you know, banging your head against the wall. And so what I did as I learned, like, there's some healers that'll say across all time, across all space, across all dimensions, and across all realities. And another healer taught me that all you have to say is all the times and all the ways. It's the shorthand for it, and it's easier for your brain to interpret it. And so what I do is I'd say, if I want to clean something up or I want to change something about myself, I just say all the times and all the ways I'm 1% less stubborn. Because you can't say I'm not stubborn, because your brain is going to go, no, I'm stubborn. You can't tell me that, but I can be 1% less stubborn. So now you say that 100 days in a row, and I changed dramatically during that. Wow. So I just said it 10 times every morning for about 4 months, and I'm happy with the results, because now if I'm getting to a place where I'm going, yeah, this is like going down an alley and there's a dead end, I think I need to turn around and go back and try a different alley.
Would you say that 1% would work for accumulating wealth as well? Like, I'm 1% more wealthy, or how would you say is the best way to focus on that?
Well, I would say I'm able to generate, or just say I generate more wealth. You know, you can say all the times and all the ways I generate more wealth. And so more is the key word. So now you can add a percentage on that. For example, like this month, all the times and all the ways I generate 5% more wealth, right? This month.
Wow. Would you say that's more or less powerful than the specific number of 3,000 to 5,000?
Well, you already know what you're earning, right? I hope you do. If you don't, then you need to go to mint.com and sign up and figure out what's coming and what's going, so you know what your so you know what your bottom line is. Because I have lots of accounts, so I have a central clearing place, so I can see what's coming and going. But right, so you know what your income is, and you have that number in mind, and now you want to increase it by a certain amount.
Got it. So it doesn't matter. It's the percent or the specific dollar. It's your mind still understands it the same. Yes. Yeah. Cool. Awesome.
Everybody has a different way of approaching it. That's my way, but I'm a math nerd, right?
Right. So whatever feels best to people feels most in alignment.
Yeah. Some people are more touchy-feely. Like, I'm a touchy-feely person, but I have a math mind. But yeah. I'm sort of an oxymoron all the way around, just like what scientific healer is an oxymoron, right? And I'm an artistic scientist. So some of the pictures you see behind me, they're my paintings. And those are the worst ones. They're not even the good ones.
Oh, you have to show us the good ones, the best ones.
Yeah, I just have them because they match the green units on the shelving back there. Yeah. Awesome. And all my science books are right there. Like that white one right there is called Solid State Physics, which is super advanced graduate level solid state physics.
Wow. Oh my gosh. I love it. So
yeah. And the quantum mechanics is right next to it.
bringing it back to the realm of most entrepreneurs who are listening. Is there any other really powerful recommendations or solutions that you've seen work to accelerate our life, our business, or our wealth?
Well, all of that is dependent on 8 factors. And we know this from 70 to 80 years of research at major universities. So number 1 is relationships. And number 2, of course, is a satisfying career. And number 3, you see back here, it's expressing your creativity. So in other words, you're free to express you. Like whatever that is, whether it's writing, whether it's dancing, whether it's sports, whatever is creative for you. And then number 4 is spirituality. And number 5 is sexuality. So in other words, whatever you are, whatever one of the genders you are, is that you're satisfied in the body that you're in, right? And then, and then number 6 is, what did I say? Spirituality. So sexuality, and we have financial health. So not that you're wealthy, but that you, whatever you have, you know how to manage, that you have a good relationship with money. Like you never feel icky about walking up to somebody and they say, well, what do you charge? And I say, well, what would you like done? And then they tell me, and then I have no worries. I just say the number and not worry, feel icky about, oh, did I charge too much? Or was that enough? Or, it's just like being confident with your ability to handle money. Number 7 is mental and emotional health. And number 8 is physical health. So number 8 is physical health. I just want you to know it's foundational, but what you eat and your exercise is way less important than your relationships. Right.
Wow. So powerful.
So these are in the order of importance. And those are the things, like I have a free gift in which you can go. It's at scientifichealer.com/action. Okay. And that free gift is so you can, it takes you through a series of questions and you can figure out which one that is the thing to work on right now. What I did was when I sponsor an event is that I read people, I say, I'll read your frequency and tell you the one thing you need to do right now to raise it the fastest. Right? Because the higher your frequency, the healthier, the more vibrant, the more money you'll attract, the better you'll attract better people, and so on. And some of the entrepreneurs, you might know some of them that have worked with me, their whole business has shifted and transformed because of who they are now attracting. And so in these 8 factors, you only need to focus on one thing at a time. And when I did this at events, I usually got tears from the women. Like I would tell them one thing or another. And either, when it was relationship, it was usually I'm going through a divorce. If it was career, it's like, I really need to change jobs. If it was creativity, it's like, oh, I haven't gotten my creative stuff out in such a long time, and I really have wanted to for a long time. If it was sexuality, a lot of them had gotten raped or sexually abused. So it was usually that one thing that is actually holding them back. And that's why I created that. It's still kind of in an early form, but it gives you an idea. It takes you through a series of questions. And the one that you got the most no answers to is the one that you really need to look at. And then there's some gifts in the guide that'll help you with those things. Awesome.
But this is awesome. Dr. Anastasia, we're getting all this information. Thank you so much for sharing. I want to bring it home with the final takeaways for our audience that they can take action on right now, or just say, yes, I'm committed to that. I'm doing that.
Well, the number one thing is to set yourself up for success at the beginning of the day. Just don't skip it. Just do it every morning. If you have to wake up an hour earlier, wake up an hour earlier, but just get the success program in. I've done this for years and have been able to accomplish incredible things. Like there are some things that people don't know about me. At one time, I flipped houses and I used to do the plumbing and electrical in the houses, right? Who would have thought?
Awesome.
Who would have thought, right?
Yeah.
And so I know a lot about a lot of things. And it's just because I have set myself up for success every morning by doing a routine, eating a good breakfast, and really getting my day started right. And also having in mind what I'm going to accomplish, whether it's calendared out or whether there's a to-do list. And then just getting up and doing it. It's just like when you go to the gym, you better have your workout on the sheet already spelled out, how many reps of how much weight and what exercise. And it's just like you just carry out your plan. And the reason why this is so powerful is because you stop engaging your conscious mind. You only use your subconscious, because your conscious mind is a 0.002% of your total brain power.
Wow.
So we're mostly unconscious, subconscious beings.
Oh my gosh. Well, that is incredible. And we are definitely setting ourselves up every morning to be successful by dialing in that morning routine and just having our life be more easy. So, Dr. Anastasia, how do people stay connected with you, and what do we want them to do next?
Well, the easiest way to stay connected to me is to go to scientifichealer.com. And one of the tools that can really help you propel your life forward is listening to a brief meditation. It's a guided meditation. It's got healing music in the background. It is very specifically formulated to help get your brain functioning and your body calm first thing in the morning. So you can just sign up. It's like right below my picture.
Okay.
And then at my picture, there's one for entrepreneurs, one link for entrepreneurs, and the other one for healers. And it takes you to the two articles that describe what can be done. And of course, when you sign up for the audio, you also will get information of when I release my podcast, because my podcasts are also, a lot of people said they're uplifting, and my YouTube videos and my blog posts. So you can stay connected with me that way.
Awesome. You are an absolute treat. Thank you so much for coming on today and sharing with us. And I'm so excited to see all the impact that you continue to have in, research you do and certifying these healers to go out and empower and heal more people. I'm really excited, and thank you from the bottom of my heart for all the work you do.
You're most welcome. It's been a total delight, and I got to talk about some of my favorite topics.
Yes. It's always the best. Most fun ever. Awesome. Well, we will see you soon, okay?
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Chris.
Take care.